Seriously?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. Jessica gives me a thumbs up that we're live about like 15 seconds before my computer shows me that it's live. Anyway, we are glad to be here with you guys. And we thought we should talk about summer vacations because we should figure out how many. Well, Jessica doesn't have any kids or teenagers, but we have a lot of trips with teenagers between all of us. And we learn stuff. We definitely learn like what not to do and hopefully sometimes what to do. And in my family, I learned that there was so much excitement about a trip when they were teenagers, middle school and high school, that I had to wow them in the first thing we did. Like we had to get off the plane and do something, or if we had an Airbnb, it had to really like have a game room or something, and it relaxed everybody after that. Like it was kind of like so much excitement and so much excitement. And if we said, let's go home and unpack and we'll just everyone take a little rest, it would be crazy. They'd be crazy about it. But if we did something and it satisfied them and it felt like this is a great vacation, the rest was kind of safe. Like they'd already kind of met their deepest desires and we could move on. So it wasn't always perfect because it didn't always play out that the one I picked was the great thing, but I was pretty good at knowing what would, for the whole family, make people happy. So, and Mindy, I know you have a really good plan.
Well, I don't know how good it is, but it worked for us. So we had we have three boys fairly close in age. And what we found was we had to keep them busy. You know, it couldn't be a lot. They just were not downtime kids. So two things: input. They needed input on it. Like, where do you want to go? What do you guys want to do? Here's what we're going to do. What do you want to see? We do things like, okay, each night someone would pick a place for dinner so that they had to get involved a little bit, but we had to keep moving. My kids ended up being great with cities, because if we went to some new city, I don't know, when they were younger, like I don't know, San Francisco, we took them to, and we would walk everywhere. A, it tired them out. B, we kept seeing things. So that was sort of our motive. They loved the beach. If there was ocean waves, a lake, if there was something to do on it, but they weren't good at just, let's go and sit and watch the sunrise type thing. It had to be, so we always went to places where there was enough activity. And it didn't have to be major. It could be hiking. It could be biking. It could be whatever it was, but that was our thing. Keep them going. And the other thing we did we started this when they were younger, and we continued it to this day. At sort of before we would leave for dinner every night, we'd have what we called our happy hour. So my husband and I might have a drink, and they would have soda, pop, whatever your choice of words are. We'd get chips. We'd sit around. We'd talk about the day. So it kind of wrapped up that day. Dinners always seemed to be late on vacation. And then we'd have dinner, whether we were cooking at home at, an Airbnb or wherever we were staying, or at a hotel or whatever. And it turned out to be one of the best things. And they would look forward every day. It's weird when you'd have a 6-year-old saying, is it happy hour, or let's do happy hour tonight. But they didn't have a concept then. And they would have their favorite drink and their favorite little chips and snacks. And I would recommend that, because it was just a great segue to end the day. Then you go out to dinner, and then you were done. So anyways, that's my
okay. Cindy, I just want to ask you, when your kids went back to school and the teacher said, so what was your favorite part of vacation?
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Yeah, well, just quickly, and then I'll stop hogging the whole thing. My middle son was in 5th grade, and they had that essay. And he wrote, and we heard about it at Parents Night for the teacher. It was a male teacher, that his favorite part of the vacation was we were in Boston, and my father scalped tickets, like for the Boston Red Sox. We went up to people. We got the best price. We scalped. We only had 2, and we scalped 3 tickets, which I believe was illegal back then. But anyway, so yes, that did in fact. Okay, there you go. So anyway, someone else. I've been chatting forever.
So Mindy, you talked about actually both of you talked about planning stuff beforehand and the kids getting really excited about everything. My kids would kind of walk into situations blind, like we'd sort of talk about it, like where we were going and all that stuff. But and we like had them dream about what they wanted to do. But my family being my family, someone inevitably gets sick or injured, or like something happens either right before or during the vacation. So the key with our family vacations is to be flexible and to recognize your limits. And if you're not feeling up to something, it's okay. You know, we'll have a quiet day. And also talking about quiet days, we all tend to get like really overwhelmed with a lot of like noise and sound and crowd and all that stuff. Like it's not invigorating for us. It's kind of like we're a house of introverts, I guess, or ambiverts.
Your husband too?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't quite figured him out, Sue. He's I think he's just happiest to be with us. But if he didn't have us, he'd be like out all the time. So, yeah, but we need, after a day of a lot of excitement, like if we've gone to New York and like seen shows and like been shopping and all that stuff, we need a down day or at least half of a day to recharge and rest. It just makes things go so much smoother. And the other thing we need, if we're in the car, and I don't care what age your kids are, if they are prone to this, we need to bring plastic bags and buckets for whoever's going to get sick in the We've had like electronic devices destroyed out of nowhere. And like, yeah, so like always be prepared, you know, bring your sanitary products if you need them, bring extra toilet paper because the stops don't always have them, the wet wipes, like,
oh my God.
It's fun traveling with us.
Okay, so before Jessica goes next, let's see if anybody put your tips for us in the comments if you're thinking about something that you did that worked or something that was a disaster. All right, Jess.
Yeah, I was going to say flexibility, I think, ended up being the most important things for any of our family vacations, but very specifically because me and my little brother, I think, are like on opposite ends of like almost every spectrum there could be. So like my little brother does not like going out and doing like nature stuff, and I do. I like getting up early and looking at alligators or whatever. And then on the flip side, I think like everyone says I'm very easygoing. There are two things that are going to make me turn into a monster, and that is clothes shopping or most any shopping, but specifically clothes shopping, and being forced to be awake past 11 o'clock. If it's my choice, I'm fine. But if like we're out somewhere and I want to be asleep, I will turn into a monster. And meanwhile, you know, my little brother loves late nights. My little brother, you know, he's fine going shopping for that kind of stuff. So it was really just kind of a like, nothing had to be mandatory, I think. Like if everybody wanted to go, that was great. But if it was like, I don't want to, you know, be out to 1 a.m. doing whatever you guys want to do, or Stephen doesn't want to wake up at the 7 a.m. to go drive all the way to some bird sanctuary. Like if someone was forced to do one of the things they don't want to like, it just turned into a meltdown.
Yeah. All right, Kamira, you're up.
Okay. Family travel. So when I was a teen, I'd love to go on trips with my parents, and we would go on these great trips because my father had a job that had us living overseas. So we would go on great vacations, and I couldn't wait to do that with my own family. And I got my own family, and oh my gosh, we annoy each other so much. I didn't know how the travel would handle, and I would do it with like little groups. Turns out we travel really well together. We like each other. We have fun. We look out for each other. And I wish like we should like be one of those families that takes a year and just travel. Because
it's wonderful, Kamira, though. I think that's great to hear. Yeah.
but we don't do it that often. I mean, it's such a small segment of your life, right? If
Yeah.
that's when we're at our best, we really should be at our best at home. So our son, we just came back from a vacation. It was a mom and sons. And one of my sons says that I like to, and he's right, curate experiences. And I think of everybody's personality. Like Sue said, she has to wow them. And like Mindy says, you keep them busy. And I think of different experiences that are going to hit their personality or their likes. So like last week, we went, whenever I touch down somewhere, whether it's visiting my mother or taking a fabulous vacation, I think of something that we can do. Even if I just go home to my mom's, there's, one time we went to this car museum out in the suburbs because I'd never been there before. And we did that and it was something to look forward to. But if I go somewhere new, the first thing I do is take a tour. And I used to take bus tours because I want to get the lay of the land. But this time we took a bike tour because one of my sons really loves to bike. And it was so much fun, weather permitting and whatever future destinations, I'm going to do that. And then another thing we did like a day or two later is I have a son who's a foodie and an excellent home chef. He's really, really good. So we all took cooking lessons. And we took a cooking lesson. It was a lot of fun, and it
Your
actually
pictures
really
looked awesome. They looked
Thank
so
you.
good.
Yeah.
Here's the behind the scenes. So right before that, one of the sons was just so angry with me. He was through with me. He had, he's finished his first year of college, and you guys have been there, Sue and Mindy. They come home and they're not ready to get back into the mold of I run this, and he said something he shouldn't, and so we had to settle it then that day. And we had so much fun at the cooking class that we kind of got beyond that because the two of us were very hot with each other.
Well, but you used the word yet. I'm wondering when the yet ended. Once they went to college, it was like, yeah. Where are you going? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He said something to me that I told him, you get that one for free.
One dog bite. You get one free dog bite.
That's it. But that's so thinking of people's personalities and what they like to do. And so I have a son who does not like museums, and the only thing he likes less than museums are art galleries, but I love museums. So that was my thing. They had to come to the museum. Everybody had to come to the big museum with me. And they were like, okay, that's her thing.
Well, so one of the things that Jessica said reminded me that when they were old enough to not have to be like someone could make another decision, everything was optional. Because what I saw was that I hated the whining. Like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. So what I started to do was make plans for me and Dan, and then share with them what our plans were. And then they could opt in, but they didn't have to. They just had to let us know. So if it involved tickets, they could get tickets. And by the end, every kid came to everything. But it felt like their decision instead of imposed. And sometimes they would be like Dan, going like, I don't want to go. Why do I have to go? And I'd say, no one told you have to. Stay back and read. Go find something else. Do whatever you want. Did we offend Mindy?
Sorry, I tried to wouldn't even take my comment back to you all. I don't know. All of a sudden it just froze and then went black, and now you're back. So
anyway, so
they show up because that's what happened to me last week. Like, the older they get, they wanted to sleep in, and I was like, we went far. I want to experience every waking moment I can. So rather than get upset, I was like, let me just go out, right? And and so I got dressed and I was ready to go. And the first one to wake up was like, well, where are you going? Because they think I'm their 6-year-old daughter. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this. I've already mapped it out on the subway and all this other stuff. They're like, okay. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the next one gets up before I get out of the room. And he literally says, if you guys go out without me, I will be peed off. I can't win here if I win.
No, that's the win. That's the win. Because I want them all to come, but I also don't want them to come and ruin it for everybody else. So this way, and also I don't want to forgo doing the things that we want to do because we can't get consensus from everybody. Like not everybody wants the same thing. So the only thing I want to do is make sure Dan and I are happy, and then and we're flexible. We're not so wedded to what we're doing, but it gives a framework for everybody.
Mhm.
And then it's almost never that someone doesn't come, because once one's going, someone else is going to go. Fine.
Yeah.
And eventually it topples, you know?
Yeah.
This was our first vacation, and I guess each family has to determine when you're. It also depends on where you are when you're okay with this. But this was our first vacation where there were times where people went off on their own,
Mhm.
and not at a resort or something. We were in a city, so people were going off to do something on their own or to meet someone or something. And
Mhm.
it's the first time we've
Okay,
done
so
that.
we're going with some of the kids to Brazil for my nephew's wedding. And my friend
Wow.
said, you should get everybody a tile. And I'm
Oh,
We have air tags.
yeah, that's what it is. Air tags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are those Apple products?
Yes.
And then
Why
you
can't
have
nail
an
it.
iPhone.
why can't you just share your location with each other? Why do you have to buy a tag?
Well, we don't all have iPhones, so I think that I don't know if that works.
If you lose your phone, Melissa. So
Yeah, but
if you
Google
can't-
will do that for you.
You can mesh Google and Apple.
I don't have an iPhone, so
Well, anyway, so they're called Air Tags.
So air tags are good for your luggage. We put it, one son puts it on his camera because he's big into photography.
Yeah, but what
The
about
one-
the person? Does it?
So the person, we share location on our phone, but I did have, when someone went alone, a separate air tag in case your phone gets stolen or lost. Because, if the phone only tells where the phone is. So I have a son who's going on vacation to meet a friend who's doing some research in Mexico City, and Mexico City can be dicey.
Mhm.
And I said, you have to have an air tag on your person that's not with your phone. And that air tag has to be attached to my phone, not yours.
Interesting.
Interesting. It's a brave new world.
I will say,
You know what?
last
Yeah.
time we
And
were
our parents didn't have air tags, and we managed to get around, but that's okay.
But I remember just when I kind of came in here when talking about going out on their own. I think that's with teenagers the scariest part of vacations, when you allow them, like they're kind of at that age, and one or two of them wants to go here, or hey, I'm going to go do this, and I can remember we were I think it was in Bermuda, and the kids were older, but they were snorkeling, and we were on the beach, but they went out snorkeling, and they kept going out further and further, and I was like. God, I was just, and I thought, oh my God, I was beginning to freak out. They were all whatever teens, they could swim, but that's really scary, right? They were fine. They ended up coming back in, but I'm standing on the, shore, like my dad used to do. You're going too far. So, but it's that okay, letting them go, right? Or if it's in a city, realizing okay.
I know, but it's so funny, Mindy. We're not with them all the time anymore because they're adults. And as soon as they enter my sphere, I'm back to being anxious about them. You're going too far.
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
time I went on vacation, which was last June, I think, I left the restaurant early because I wanted to get to sleep because we had an early morning.
Because it was 11 o'clock. And it was
No,
time to
it was like 7 p.m. I was just very tired and groggy. And so I'm like, I'm just going to head back to the hotel room. And my mom is just like, are you going to be okay by yourself? I'm like, I am 27. It is a 5-minute walk to the hotel. And she's like, all right, just keep me posted. Just text me every 2 minutes. And I started, like, every time I saw like anything, I'd just take a picture and just here I am. This is the street I'm on.
That's very kind of you. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.
Bye.